Hi guys, okay, so I'm going to be doing 6 horror ghost stories because I love reading about them. So number 1 is my grandma lives in a very stereotypical horror movie house. Small Midwest town, white and old looking home on a farm. She even has a chipped wooden Mary Nativity in the front yard. She also has a cemetery about a half a mile down the road. I used to sleep in the room in the corner on the top floor, my aunt's room, and it had a wooden rocking chair in it. When I was younger, I would wake up because I thought I heard it rocking, to the point where I would wake up my grandma and have to stay in her room. About 10 years later, my mum and I were talking about how creepy my grandma's house was. My aunt was on about how she was younger, and the reason my mum and her ended up sharing a room was because she thought her room was haunted. She said she woke up one morning and the rocking chair was about 2 feet closer to her bed, and after that night it would start rocking on a nightly basis at midnight. Yeah, I would move. I wouldn't just move out that. I would not just move out that room. I would move out that flipping house. Oh my god. Okay, number 2 is, until a few years ago, I still had a flip phone. One day I got a random call asking for some girl named Sarah. I told them they had the wrong number and they hung up. For the next few months, I would get these calls asking for Sarah about once or twice a week, coming from different numbers and different sounding people. Sometimes these calls came from 3 in the morning. One day I got a call and, like usual, I said I didn't know Sarah and they hung up. I went to my contacts and hit redial. The answering machine said that number did not exist. I went back through my call history, trying to call some other people that had called me with the same result. A machine telling me the number did not exist. Every time I would get these calls, I would redial the number and still got the message. I still got the machine. I googled the numbers, but all I learned was that they were coming from North Dakota, Monica, basically somewhere in the Midwest. The next time I got a call asking for Sarah, I said, "Oh yeah, she's right here," and the other person on the other end said, "No, she isn't," and hung up. Things started getting weird, and I started getting calls from unknown numbers calling me. Whoever and whatever on the other end hung up in the second I said hello. Once I got a call where they didn't hang up after I said hello. I could hear someone. Oh my god. Hang on. I could hear someone was on the other end, but listening. Just listening. But they didn't say anything, just something really uneasy about it. I'm really sorry. It's really hard for me to read sentences because I'm dyslexic, so I'm shit at reading. So here's another one, number 3. I was staying in the Flamingo Hotel in Los Angeles. In the middle of the night, I woke up and saw a dark figure moving around the foot of my bed, coming up the gap between between the twin beds. I hit the light and there was a full figure of a man in 60s sports blazer with blood all over his face. I yelled, "Go away," and I start flinging my arm in his direction. Just like that, he disappeared. I woke my friends in the other beds, and my buddy said, what the hell are you swatting at?" I told them, and they laughed at me. The following morning, my buddy said after I had fallen asleep, water was dripping on his head, but there was no leak on the ceiling, and was convinced we may have shared a paranormal encounter. I would get the hell out of that place. Number 4. I had a black cat called Casper. We adopted her after she ran away from the previous owner. She was missing for days before the previous owner found her in the bushes, frightened. After carrying her home, the owner discovered she was allergic to cats when her arm broke out with rashes. She put out a call for a new home, which was answered by my animal-loving family. For ages, she was scared to come near anyone and was totally averse to being petted. Eventually, she was turned into a total ham. After missing the chance to jump on you and lie with you, we loved her and loved her and loved her. Sorry, missed it. Then one day she lost the use of her back legs. Not long after, she passed away. I was having a rough time then, and she was a big comforter. The point is, my parents and I were sad. A few days after, I'm sitting on my front step having a smoke. I hear a meowing sound identical to Casper. I look out front, and there, at the gate, was a cat meowing at me that looked just like Casper. I went over and it ran away. I looked down the street after it and it was gone. I mentioned it to my parents, and they both said the same thing happened to each of them separately, which was a surprise to them too. Now, it could have been a similar cat from the neighbourhood, but it only happened once to each of us, then was never seen again. Oh my god. But that's not even scary though. That really is nice though. The cat thought to come back and say its goodbye. Sad, but sweet at the same time. Okay, 5. When I was 16, I was riding horses with my friend in the field beside our house. The horse threw me and I hit my head hard. The next thing I know, I'm on my back, in incredible pain, staring up at my friend, who is screaming at me. My gaze shifted, then refocused on her friend behind her, a tall, thin man wearing a black suit and an old-fashioned, wide-brimmed hat. He was staring unblankly into my eyes over my friend's shoulder. Days later, she came to visit me in the hospital, and I asked her about the man I'd seen. I thought it was the new boyfriend she'd recently told me about. She told me there was no one there but me and her. Oh no. That's kind of weird. 6. This past year I went to bed on a normal night, and in mid-dream everything stops and a voice says the fire alarm is about to go off. I woke up about 5 minutes later, then the fire alarm starts in our building. I asked my roommates the next day if anyone said that, and I just happened to hear it. But they said the alarm went off around 4 a.m. and they were all sleeping prior to it going off. Plus, none of us knew they were testing the alarm beforehand. I was weirded out after that. Yeah, so would I. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do. So yeah, all these are really good stories. I don't know if they're all real, but you never know. You can't just say, oh my god, that's not real. You can't say that because you don't know. But I think, because obviously I believe in all these types of stuff, I think that they could all be real. But anyways, please subscribe, comment, share, and like. And I'm really sorry about my reading skills. I suck. But thank you for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.